Hi guys, Fuzz here and welcome to another Planet Coaster video. Today we're going to be looking at building, well, a roller coaster quite frankly, since quite a few new styles have come into the beta, and I really want to personally have a look at delving into the wooden roller coaster, since it's one I've been looking forward to personally for quite a while to make it into the game, and it finally has now, as I showed you in the last episode that I made. I hope you enjoy this video, and if you do, please remember to support me just by hitting the like button on YouTube and subscribe to the channel as well. So without any further ado, let's get started. And the idea I had for this, I'm not the best coaster builder in the world, I'm going to come out and admit that. But, you know, I think I can make my way around the tools that the game gives us, since it is quite intuitive. The idea that I thought we could go for is if we build a kind of mountain here in the centre of the map, and then have our wooden roller coaster kind of intertwine around it. Perhaps start up high on the mountain and then just kind of work its way around and through. I thought that'd be quite exciting. We'll set the lighting to daytime as we build. Perhaps as we go into the mountain, then we can put some lighting in later on. But that is later on. Right now we want to be able to see what we're doing. So we'll go ahead and start carving out our mountain. And the best way to do this is probably just to raise it from the centre, I guess. Is that roughly the centre? Perhaps not quite. If we say, I can't quite tell where the boundaries are of this map. Oh, I guess it's about here. Just raise that up. I don't know, that looks like a pretty terrible mountain. In fact, it's probably a little bit bigger than I needed it to be. We'll start from about that height, but we'll work around it. It won't take us long. I'm going to be mostly focusing on the actual roller coaster more than the mountain itself. So we'll just start going around here. The terrain tools in Planet Coaster are so powerful. And yeah, you know, they take a little bit of getting used to. But I've seen some awesome shapes that people have carved out of the landscape in this game, so it really is quite amazing. Just want to kind of go around the edge here, but not to the top, because we want to start coming down now. Say about like that, but all the way around, and then we'll smooth it out afterwards. So it might look a little bit rough now. I like the fact that you get the undo tool in Planet Coaster as well. It's little things like that that do go a long way. Oh, how much I would have loved an undo tool in Roller Coaster Tycoon 3. So I know it's not going to be the best looking mountain in the world, but you never know, it might actually look quite natural. And I guess mountains are more authentic the more natural they look. Yeah, that's not too bad. It should be enough to just kind of like build our coaster around. So if we head to the smooth tool here, just take away some of these rough edges from the cursor. See, just all over. We can even paint this mountain if we wanted to, but I'm quite happy with it just being a grassy mountain. I mean, let's just have a look, see what other colours are available. If we go to the painting tool here, we can see we've got all these other textures and that we can go ahead and use. Something quite sandy perhaps, or something a little more on the rocky side of life. I mean, I'm not sure if I'm a big fan of that one. So bit marshlandy that, isn't it? I mean, any of these I guess are suitable. Something quite, well, I was going to say dirty, but it's really just a little bit sandy again, isn't it? I think this one deletes it and just takes us back to our original colour. So we'll stick with the original for now, unless we start building the coaster, then we can start painting and just seeing if we like some of the other looks that go with the type of coaster that we're making. So I'll very quickly save my game. One of the reasons I am going to be saving quite often as we play this is that since the beta's been released, and it has only just come out, so I should point that out, I have been getting a few game crashes, which have been a little bit frustrating. Never happened when I played the alpha, so hopefully Frontier will get that fixed. I have seen a few others complaining about it on the Steam discussion forums as well. So for now, I'm just going to keep saving, and hopefully then we won't lose anything that we build, if and when we do get a crash. So here's the wooden roller coaster which we're going to be using, and we're going to start quite high up. So maybe we could try one of the new transport rides to get people up here a little bit later, or we could just, you know, expect them to walk uphill. Kind of have the roller coaster as their reward for the long trek up that's going to take them to get up here. So we'll build our station, and we have auto tunnel enabled, so we can actually go into the terrain as and when we want to. So I thought what we could do, since we're starting high up, we probably will have chain lifts on this roller coaster, but for now we're just going to kind of weave our way down and around the mountain, and then as we put trees and that around and perhaps build some extra scenery, it'll really feel like we're, you know, sticking close to the terrain, which just adds to that increase of speed, I think, for those that ride the coaster. So we're going to try and stay quite low to the mountain as we wind around it. That's the initial plan anyway. So we'll see how we get on. We'll take angle snap off because we're going to need a little bit more freedom in the kind of heights that we have and use. So we'll just start winding down here. And we will of course do some banking, but we don't need to right on this first piece because it's just the initial piece. I don't want to go down that fast. Yeah, just something like this is what we want. So I'm not expecting huge amounts of speed at this particular section of the track, but where we're lacking physical speed, we make up for in excitement, because we're going to be able to just put scenery around trees and everything and keep everything quite low to that scenery. And I don't think we're going to make going up there at this particular moment. So one thing I do like that's coming to the beta is height markers. Makes things a lot more helpful when you're trying to figure out just exactly how high you can make your next crests of the track, really, without losing speed. And once again, we'll start coming down. Just start banking a touch. And if we just start testing, we can see exactly where we're going, making sure that we are actually going along this track. We're not getting stalled or anything with our trains. I do like the feature, and it was in the alpha as well, of having the test dummies in the in the trains as you test them. It's a nice little add-on, which of course real theme parks use, no doubt. Although I'm sure they don't crash their trains as they test them. But anyway, we just need to not come around so sharp there, I don't think. Hopefully we'll make it over that crest. Of course, there's only one way to find out. Let's start that testing again. So I know this looks quite rough at the moment, but hopefully as we start finishing the track, smoothing it all out with the smooth tools, which you can't see right now, but they will be there, and start adding the scenery in and everything else, then things will start to come together. Just going for something a little bit different with this coaster, rather than the traditional come out the station, up the hill, down the hill to the end. So just trying to add a little bit more excitement for our riders. Around we come. And perhaps we can head down here now, look. If we select auto tunnel, we can actually start heading down into the mountain. And it makes things a little bit tricky to see what you're doing with this blue grid around. We bank to about 40 degrees. And if we put angle snap on, then I was hoping to just be able to see exactly where the track was, but it doesn't look like there's a feature in the game for us to do that at the moment. So I'm kind of just going to have to make this up as I go along. Just turn that down to about 11 degrees, I think. Make sure that we are still on 0 bank, yep. And it looks like we're going to have to just start adding our chain onto this bit, I reckon. So, I don't know how that looks inside, because I couldn't see a thing, to be honest. But we'll just make sure, first of all, that we can go around. We will tidy up this tunnel entrance and what have you. And throw some lighting in. Unless we want it to keep it dark inside in that section. One thing I do like about Planet Coaster over Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 is that your dark sections inside mountains and terrain are actually dark. And if you want to put a show on or anything inside, you'll need to use lighting. So there goes our train. I just want to see the speed at which it hits the chain. That sounds about right. Okay, so we'll stop this test for now. We'll go back to standard track. Just do a very small hill here, so that, as in like a little drop there, just so that we have the speed to bring the train round the corner here. I'm just using angle snap to get some, well, some nice angles, to be honest, on this section. And it's time to start coming down. Are we going to make it over that track? It looks like we are. Keep that going at the same angle and everything. That's going to be a nice big drop. Quite deceptive because it looks, you know, quite tall from the outside at 150 feet or so. But then you've got another 50-foot drop in the actual tunnel itself. Just to throw the rider off course. And I can't seem to make any intricate design inside the actual tunnel itself, because I can't see what I'm doing. What might be a good idea in hindsight for next time is to build your roller coaster just high up in the air and then build the landscape around it, which you can do, by the way. The landscape feature, tooling, terrain changing isn't affected by your roller coasters, and they will just literally form around them. So we want to start making our way out of the tunnel here if possible. And then start going back around the track. So we just want to see what kind of speed we've got going on here. At 30 meters. So where are we? Speed things up a bit so we can make sure everything tests okay from the part we haven't tested before. So we reached this hill, thankfully, due to that little bit of drop at the start there that we placed. And we come out of there at perhaps slightly too fast, some might say. If we just raise that up a touch more, nothing too extreme. This is the fast part of the ride now. And I do just want to be a little bit cautious of blocking off the end. That wouldn't be a good idea for obvious reasons. We do actually want our riders to be able to make it safely to the end of the roller coaster, of course. And now that we've got some nice speed going, we're once again going to have a bash at just weaving our way around the mountain. Only this time with a little bit more excitement thrown in because we are going at that extra speed. And hopefully we're low enough to fit our entrance and exits in, which I suspect that we are. What the? Oops, clicked autocomplete by mistake. Not a smart choice. Just knock that angle snap off again for a minute. And take off this auto tunnel as well, since it's getting a little bit frustrating. And once again we'll just throw a short test on, speed things up, make sure that we're not going overly fast at this section here. Since we might come out of that tunnel a little bit nippy, we don't want to break our riders' necks. That seems okay. Okay. Apart from the fact we've got a bit of a lethal ending at that section there. Other than that, things seem to be going quite smoothly. Just zoom in a touch here. And don't worry about this banking looking quite rough. As I said, we will be smoothing things out. The smooth tool has improved substantially since I first started using it in the initial early access period. Come through all these supports. I don't know why it keeps trying to push us to go up. I mean, I assume it's something to do with the terrain, but I do not want to go up. Right, now we can. The question is, do you think we can make it over here? Only one way to find out. We'll have to do another test. What I really want to just see is that we've got enough momentum to make it over this crest. Here we come. Don't think we are. It's close, but not quite. Sadly. So we'll have to try and make that as low as possible, I think. And then start going down again just to start increasing that momentum. I do want to get rid of the banking. So it's going to be quite bumpy. But this is a wooden roller coaster. So to be honest, that just makes things even more interesting. And would you believe it, but my game crashed just as I warned that it could do. So I've managed to just load from an autosave, which did have quite a lot of my progress saved, but I've just had to change a few things to get back to where we were. So I thought now what we could do is just bring the track out. And as I've been saying, this is just the first iteration of passing through this coaster track. So we will of course be smoothing everything out and putting all the scenery around. But for now we're just going to go back to editing. And I'm thinking what we can do is bring this really low and around the mountain. Might just make things a little bit more interesting for our riders, which of course ultimately is the goal. Well, actually I suppose the goal ultimately is that we get to see something awesome. Turn that angle snap off. I'm not interested in that at the moment. So, looking good. Just make sure that that's not going to be heading into the mountain at this stage. That's not what we want. We just want to be going around at a nice fast speed here to thrill our guests. And so they go home and tell all their friends about our wonderful theme park. Don't know why it keeps trying to send this up in the air. That's annoying me. Stay down. And you. And you. We are going up naturally, I think, because of the mountain, but I don't think we're going to make it all the way up here, in all honesty, because we would have lost quite a bit of speed due to friction and air resistance as we come around this section here. And we're already not very high when we come out of the tunnel. So just need to play this a little bit carefully. We're probably going to end up having to go up another chain hill. Well, we are definitely going to have to go up another chain hill, but I want to try and limit it if we can to just one more chain. So let's just see how this is looking in terms of speed, so we know what we've got to play with. Just wait for the coaster to come around. Here it goes up the first lift hill. And back around again. Down to the tunnel, out we come. Let's see what speed we have coming up here. So we've got a little bit to play with. Not a tremendous amount. I don't think we're going to quite make it up this bit, are we? So if we just shorten that a touch. Put angle snap on. That's just going to be a little bit too high. So we just need to plan a little better on how we're going to get this to make it to a chain. I think we can come around a little bit sharper because we would have lost speed by this point anyway. Shorten that. If we could make it up there, that would be fantastic. But I'm not convinced that we will be able to. So let's just see if we do. Well, it does make it round. And it does so at a good speed as well. I'm just going to save my game before we end up losing everything again. So this is going to be the final lift hill. It's not going to have the biggest drop because we need to basically get it back to the station at this point. So we'll have it to about there, I think. Just coming above the top of the mountain. And then we'll wrap around the mountain top, the summit here, before actually finishing off and going back to the end of the ride. I'm kind of thinking we just need some block brakes perhaps up here. Do we have block brakes? Yes, we do. And the reason for this is it will allow us to have another train on the car, just to avoid the lengthy queue times that we're no doubt otherwise going to get. So there's our block brake. And once again, just do this a little bit shorter. Have a nice tight hill here. And then I think we'll start bringing the ride down towards the end. Let's just try and get that a little bit cleaner. That's more like it. So we're just going to nicely wrap around the summit here. So I think this will be a fun ride. What do you guys think? I know that right now it's still looking rough and we've obviously got a lot of work to do to refine it, but right now I'm just trying to go for the bare track layout, which really makes the most sense, and then you can work with what you have afterwards. You know, when we've got trees and everything around here racing through the forests, it's going to look pretty darn exciting. Go. Start coming out of this, what's it called? Gradient, I guess. If we go to angle snap, we can make sure we're nice and straightened up. And I'm thinking if we just go over and then under, that will probably be the best course of action. Let me just see what kind of speed we've got going on here. Okay, so let's actually have a ride. Now remember, there's obviously no smoothing or anything done on this, so before everyone starts complaining that this is really rough, I know it is. We've literally just narked the track together. So let's just see what the initial experience is like, and then we can start working on the next stages. A bit of a head chopper there, which is always exciting. Oh, I love the sounds of this wooden roller coaster. Developers have really gone out their way to get things authentic. Here comes our first chain lift, chain hill. Get the tension going for the riders. We've got our ultimate drop about to take place. I'll be quiet now so we can just enjoy the experience. Okay, and that brings us to the end of the ride. So this is going to be quite a fun coaster, I think, once it's finished. Obviously, as I keep saying, there's a lot of work to be done to it. Before I forget anything though, let's try and set up this block section. So if we add block sections here and increase the number of trains to 2, we're going to actually increase it to 3. Where does it put that third train, I wonder? We've got a train there, train there. Is it anywhere to do with this hill? This lift hill? Well, I don't actually know. It says there's 3 trains on the track, but we've only got 1 block section in, so I'm not sure how it's calculating that. We'll take it down to 2 anyway, so we know what we've got going on. So basically, if you don't know what a block section is, on roller coasters, you can only have 1 train in each section of free running track. So if we didn't have a block section there, from exiting the station to re-entering the station, you'd have a lot of free running track. Okay, the chain hill can count as not free running because it's giving energy to the coaster, but unless the chain section has itself got a block section built in, then it's obviously just going to be a chain moving and will pull the roller coasters up regardless. So what a block section will do is stop a second train from entering the same section of free flowing track that another train is already in. If you don't have block sections, then it limits the number of cars that you can have on the track. That's how it works in real life, and that's how it works in Planet Coaster. Now, you don't have to have block sections. You can disable this option and still increase the number of trains, but I just think that's a lot more than realistic, because there's just no way that you'd have 2 free running trains on the same section of track. If one's stalled in the wind or anything, there'd be nothing to stop an oncoming train, so it's just not going to work like that in real life. But there we go, guys. I'm going to finish the episode off here today. We can pick up again next time. Let me know what you think in the comment section and what you think we should do. The next step after this is to smooth all the track out to make sure that we're not going to break our riders' necks. But once we've done that, let me know what you think we should do in terms of theming. Obviously, we're going to be including a lot of trees, but maybe some animatronics as well. Maybe we could build some tunnels over sections such as this with some animatronics and lighting inside. You know, that's why I built this straight section. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. That will just keep you notified when I add more episodes to this series. Until then, guys, see you soon.